I'm Kurt Johnson. I'm a co-founder with Brother Wayne Teasdale and others of Interspiritual Dialogue and the Interspiritual Multiplex website, and co-author of a book called The Coming Interspiritual Age with David Ord. We were asked this question about what does it mean that the religions and spirituality today seem to be going beyond form, and what is the significance of that phenomenon, particularly with regard to what everybody is calling interspirituality. Well, when you look at what's happened in the last 2 or 3 decades at a global level, we've seen this coming together in the interfaith discussion and the cross-mystical discussion of people from all the traditions finally having a chance to meet each other and discuss deeply in person what their deepest experiences have been. And what's come of that then, through the Snowmass Initiative or through the Contemplative Alliance, the Monastic Interreligious Initiative, and other gatherings like this, was this recognition that no matter what the tradition was, or no matter what the particular spiritual practice was, the end point of the experience ended up being one of this sense of profound interconnectedness, profound unity, and the sense of heart and profound love in everything and between everything. Now, what's come of that then is this understanding that, knowing it or not knowing it, the religions have been moving away from being trapped in a certain idea or story about what that phenomenon was. And historically, even though mystics and contemplatives and people of practice have come from particular practices or stories about the way reality was, they were actually arriving at a place where they were able to embrace all of those and actually see the stories as rather secondary to the experience that they were having. And that meant that they were actually meeting in a profound recognition of each other in love, and less in the context of having to agree about ideas, dogmas, or creeds. And that when this was looked at really in the postmodern context, or whatever we want to call that, it was recognized that this was really a result of where human consciousness, really in an evolutionary context, was moving and had been moving. Now, some of you who are familiar with integral or spiral dynamics also know that this is identified as a change across history from what's called a first-tier consciousness to a second-tier consciousness. And those are fancy words, but actually what's underneath them is something very simple. That in the older or first-tier consciousness, it was natural for people to see things within a certain box and actually have their sense of who they were, or the sense of their own ultimate safety in the sense of heaven or hell or ultimate rewards and punishments, in the context of some normative story that had been told them, be it from Buddhism or Islam or Christianity or Judaism or even Marxist-Leninism, whatever it might be. But what happened then is people started to go deeper into the experiential realm and into the realm of connectedness and just the actuality of just good old-fashioned love and what that implies. They started to move then into what now is really recognized as second-tier consciousness. And I suppose all of you who know younger people, and if you've seen statistics about younger people at a global level, you see that this generation that's arriving today does not see things in the old boxes, let's say, that my generation used to. If that comes to cultural questions, religious questions, or questions of sexual identity, racial, ethnic identity, these boxes are massively falling away. What that seems to be showing then is the arising of this second-tier consciousness, where what is seen is the interconnectedness and sameness that resides within everything, and less concern about the individual story that may bind you to feeling that your identity or your safety is only in this or that parochial box. Now, this has had a profound effect then on the religions at a worldwide level. Because what happens then with second-tier consciousness is that what we're calling the interspiritual experience, or that this reservoir and this smorgasbord of all the resources that are available from all these rich traditions is there to be experienced by everyone, is that second-tier consciousness is allowing people to freely go to that, experience that, and say yes to the riches of that, and not feel anymore any of the old threats or fears that they had, that if I think this way I might get in trouble, if I do this there may be some ultimate reward or punishment, heaven, hell, whatever we would call that. These realities just seem to be transiting at a global level. So this idea then that interspirituality is a part of this moving into transform, or not being, no longer being bound by form, is one of the places that we seem to obviously see all of religious perception going today. And this is one of the most important points that's really underlinking this discussion about an interspirituality.